Hi folks, welcome to our best Italian wine tasting kit. Coming up, you've got our 6 drink-along videos with a little bit more information on all the wines in your kit. Enjoy. This is Palazzo del Mare Catarato from Sicily in Italy.
Yes, Catarato, the white Italian grape you've never heard of, as it's found only in its native home on the island of Sicily. Sicily is a fantastic winemaking region deep in the heart of the Mediterranean. This volcanic island is very exposed and super hot, meaning grapes get plenty ripe and full of flavour. Catarato is a crisp, citrusy wine with lots of tropical fruit flavours, fantastic for Sauvignon or Pinot lovers.
Now, hang on a minute, Sam. If my geography serves me right, Sicily sits about as far south as the top of Africa. It's a stone's throw from Tunisia. How on earth is it making crisp white wine? We're miles away from the cool climate needed for that.
Yes, very good, Daniel. You're absolutely right. But Sicily has an ace up its sleeve, the same technique used by the Chileans, and that is altitude. These vines will have been planted 200 to 300 metres above sea level, up Mount Etna. During the day, this doesn't do a lot, but at night, altitude creates what we call in the wine game large diurnal change. That's the technical term for nights that are a lot colder than the days. This pattern of hot in the day and cold at night is perfect for maintaining acidity in grapes, which leads to wines that are crisp and refreshing.
I mean, very, very nice. And now, is it me though, or does this wine have something kind of nutty or almost like almondy going on?
You're on fire today, Dan. Yes, aside from all that fruit, there is a kind of nuttery or savoury thing going on with this wine. That comes down to something we have talked about before, lees aging, where the yeast is left in after fermentation and then stirred up every now and then for a few weeks before being filtered off. In most wines, the yeast creates a dairy-like flavour, almost creamy. In Sicilian wines, it's nutty or almondy. That probably just comes down to the type of yeast they use.
I mean, excellent. And what am I pairing this one with then?
Well, it's definitely a patio wine, great on its own in the sun, but I think in keeping with the region, a light pizza like margherita or one of those nice ones with a rocket and prosciutto.
Oh, very, very nice indeed.
Cheers.
This is Altopiano Bianco from Abruzzo in Italy.
Yes, Abruzzo, a largest region just south of the centre of the country and with a coastline with the Adriatic Sea to the east. A region that is home to many well-known and less-known Italian grape varieties, but its 2 most common are the red grape Montepulciano and the white grape Trebbiano, which is what we have in this wine.
Okay, so I know Montepulciano and of course Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, but I'm not familiar with Trebbiano.
Yes, Montepulciano does very well on its own, whereas Trebbiano tends to be used as a blending grape, often with Pinot Grigio, Pecorino or Garganega, the grape used to make Soave. It is in fact closely related to Soave. Some believe it's the parent grape of Garganega. Like all of these white grapes, it is high acid grape variety, which makes it super refreshing and great for drinking cold and fast on a hot summer's day. It also pops up in France with the name Uni Blanc, where again it's often blended with similar high acid styles like Sauvignon or Colombard.
Okay, and the winery here is one we're very familiar with, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Fuedo Antico, one of the first wineries in Italy to start operating organically, sustainably, and with zero impact, achieving in 2013 the Magis certification, Italy's highest accolade for sustainability in wine production, which for these guys came pretty easily, didn't it?
That's right, there are some wine regions for which organic and sustainable practices come very easily. And that's because most unorganic or unsustainable methods come as a result of tackling pests, drought, or both. Abruzzo as a region is extremely fertile, beautiful green spaces, rugged mountains, and most importantly, plenty of sun and just the right amount of rain. These all add up to little intervention being needed to maintain a crop, and as a result, great working practices.
I mean, that all sounds very, very good. What am I drinking this with?
Quite a neutral flavoured wine this, not a big foodie one. Crack it open midweek to catch up with friends, few bowls of nibbles, you're done.
I'll call some friends.
Cheers.
This is the Casadaro Sauvignon Blanc from Veneto in Italy.
Yes, the nation's favourite white grape variety, but not perhaps from a country you might expect. Veneto in Italy is home to some pretty famous white wines, Pinot Grigio, Soave, and of course Prosecco, so there's no reason why it couldn't grow Sauvignon Blanc, another white grape that does well in cool to moderate climates like in northern Italy.
Now, when I'm down the supermarket or even in a restaurant, when it comes to white wine, at the moment, it seems like it's all about Sauvignon Blanc. And on top of that, it seems like if it's not from New Zealand, it's not worth talking about.
Yeah, so the reason Sauv is so popular at the moment is because it has a perfect balance of being both thirst-quenching and moreish. And there's some real science behind it. The thirst-quenching bit comes from acidity. That's what makes our mouths water and makes us feel like we've been quenched. The moorishness comes from sugar, not too much, just a little makes the wine delicious and leaves us wanting more. Sauv Blanc in the right climate balances these two perfectly. Now, New Zealand in particular is lucky enough just to have the perfect weather for balancing these two things out. A cool to moderate temperature for the acidity, but then lots of sunshine to increase the ripeness and the sugar. Veneto in Italy, believe it or not, has a very similar climate. It's actually equal distance from the equator to New Zealand, just in the opposite direction. It's surrounded by water like New Zealand, and it's got all the mountains like New Zealand. And as a result, the Sauvignon Blanc it produces is very similar.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love it. Really getting those zingy vibes from that acidity, but then the fruitiness from the sugar really does make you want to just keep on drinking. But if I were to pause for something to eat, what are we thinking?
Sauv, as well as being fruity, it has quite a green herby flavour to it. So pair it with anything with really herby sauce, like pesto or those fish cakes you get with the old school parsley sauce.
Now we're talking. Cheers. This is Baglio Gibellina Brio from Sicily in Italy.
Yes, Sicily's signature white grape variety is Brio, a full-bodied, full-flavoured white that for decades has been a major component of the country's perhaps most famous fortified wine, Marsala.
Now, Marsala wine, never actually drank it, but it's one of those things that a Jamie Oliver recipe will tell you need to buy for some sticky ribs or something. I'll buy a bottle from the supermarket, as cheap as possible, stick a splash in, then the rest will go at the back of a cupboard and get dusty for years. Does anyone actually drink that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I never have, same story here, just for cooking, but I believe people do drink it with cheese and charcuterie. It was the biggest export of Sicily for quite some time, and the grape growing required to make it was not particularly high quality. The thing about Sicily is it has an almost perfect climate for growing wine grapes in vast quantities. Great for mass production, but not always a great standard, as quality grapes actually prefer to struggle a little. It's only recently that the Sicilian government decided to step in and subsidise growers so that they could grow less grapes, focus on quality, and move away from Marsala and into table wine. The result has been some amazing great value vino. It's one of our favourite regions.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a big fan of Sicilian reds, but this white's excellent. It's packed full of fruity flavours, still really fresh and really drinkable. That Sicilian climate is also excellent for growing organically, like this one.
Yeah, that's right. Most pesticides in winemaking are used to combat the moulds and mildew brought on by damp weather. Sicily is hot and dry and has an almost 360-degree Mediterranean sea breeze, which literally gives the grapes a good airing and makes sure mould doesn't set in. As a result, a big percentage of Sicilian wine is organic, just because it's easy to do so, rather than any effort to get with the times.
Okay, great stuff. What can we drink this one with then?
It's a chunky white wine, so pair it with some chunky fish, something like salmon or tuna or swordfish.
Look at money bags over here.
Cheers.
This is Zaccagnini Verdicchio from Mare in Italy.
That's right. Though thought to have originated in Veneto in the north, the grape here, Verdicchio, had very much found its spiritual home in Mare, a more central Italian region where it is easily their most planted variety. Very much a critic's choice in the wine world, Verdicchio is widely considered Italy's best white wine, with many showing potential for such strange activities as putting it away for aging.
I mean, why would you want to do that?
I know, right? Madness. Young Verdicchio, however, is fantastic with refreshing acidity, green, herby type flavours, but its signature is an almond flavour, which in some cases can be a touch bitter, but also creates a richness in the wine.
Okay, and this is what's called a DOC wine, which I've heard you say in the past can be a signifier of quality, right?
Absolutely. Now, unlike France, where the AOC accredited wines make a huge part of what's famous about the country, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Côte de Rhône, etc., the DOC accreditation that Italy gives to its wine is far less relied upon. Sure, like in France, it means that these certified regions follow a set of rules and regs to create a consistent quality of wine, but a much lower percentage of the country actually buy into the bureaucracy of it. In Mare, just 20% of its wine production is DOC. In places like Sicily and Puglia, it's less than 5%.
I mean, I guess you can kind of think of it like the difference between a French and Italian chef. The French chef is all about the precision and following the recipe to a T, with absolutely no tolerance for straying from that recipe. I mean, in Italy, they just do it the way their nonna did. Nobody's going to tell them otherwise or hold them to any kind of rules.
That is exactly it.
Just say it again.
That is exactly it. Italy is not the country for strict winemaking, but they're extremely tasty and world-leading all the same. You can, however, use DOCs as a guide for quality. It's usually written on the neck of the bottle.
Great stuff. What are we pairing this one with?
This is a coastline region, so wine is famously paired with a local fish stew. Now, I can't remember the last time I had fish stew, but fish pie? I'm in.
And I'll join.
Cheers.
This is Maybis Biscardo or Passo from Veneto in Italy.
That's right, the Biscardo family, one of the first families in Veneto to start making wine over 150 years ago. Now leaders in two types of wine that the region is famous for, Amarone and Soave. They make some of the world's best and fairly pricey it is too. However, keen to stay close to their roots, they have a trio of wines, red, white and rosé, that they use all of their wealth of experience to create a tasty yet accessible wine. This is their white and we love it.
I mean, okay, so I know this one, and if we're talking Soave, which is a small region, then the grape is Garganega, right?
Correct, but with a bit of a twist, this wine is 60% Garganega, the wine that goes into all Soave, but also 40% Chardonnay. Unusual for this part of the world, but in my opinion, a stroke of genius by the brothers Maurizio and Martino, as it adds a richness to the wine which really punches through.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are famous for what people call dangerous drinkability, and we've got a 13% white wine here, lots of fruity flavour. Why then is it going down like lemonade? It is so easy drinking.
Yes, this is really classy winemaking. The Garganega has all the refreshment factor you would expect from a northern Italian white wine, just like Pinot Grigio. The Chardonnay, however, is really, really ripe. They actually use a technique called ripasso or appassimento, most commonly used for Amarone, where they dry the grapes out first to concentrate the sugars and flavour. It reduces the grape's water content by up to 40% before they then start winemaking. It's less common in whites, but that extra sugar, balanced with the Garganega's acidity, makes this ridiculously Moorish.
So, you know, say more sugar, but it's not sweet.
No, we're only talking about fractions of grams per litre of wine. It's still dry. With all that acidity, being a cool climate wine, it's still got all that lip-smacking freshness you want, but that little touch of sugar is what keeps you coming back for more.
And what am I going to drink more of this one with?
All sorts really. It's an Italian grape. Pasta, risotto, fish. It's also great with mature cheese if you're more of a white wine fan but love a cheese board.
I mean, I'll take the lot.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching our drink along videos. We hope you enjoyed the wine. Don't forget to come back and spend your £10 voucher on your favourites.